'cause she's a Jezebel. San Andreas Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel. San Andreas Jezebel. Well, hey, y'all, you're listening to the San Andreas Jezebel Podcast. This week, we welcome local singer-songwriter and music event coordinator Corey Hall of the band Elderflowers. Corey's event, Psych Night, is celebrating its one-year anniversary May 20th at Mosey's in downtown Panama City. While this is a show about St. Andrews, I believe it's important to celebrate our sister historic district as well. Psych Night has been looking for a home for quite some time, and Mosey's is finally reopening since it was destroyed by Hurricane Michael in 2018. I'm especially excited to see the venue and the event join together on May the 20th. Don't miss it. If you've been enjoying the podcast and would like to show your support, you can make a one-time donation to our coffee page. I'll link it in the show notes below. Also, you might notice that the podcast is currently 100% listener-supported. But if you'd like to sponsor an episode, just send me a DM and we'll talk. For a more enhanced experience, follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram. The podcast is now available to stream directly from Facebook. So if you want to show your support, share this episode with all your salty friends. I want to thank Corey again for being on the show, and I really hope you enjoy our conversation. While y'all sit back, relax, grab your favorite beer, and enjoy the show. Today we are here with Corey Hall, who hosts Psych Night, and he's also with the band Elderflowers. And you've also got a single coming out soon. What's that all about?
Yeah, my single's actually from my solo stuff. It's called The Orange Peel Hop, and it's actually kind of an ode to my favorite folk blues kind of artists from back in the day. Like Mississippi John Hurt has a couple of references to hit some of his songs in there. And The Orange Peel Hop, I'm hoping, as long as everything goes smoothly, will be released on all streaming platforms somewhere around the 20th of next month.
That's fantastic. And how did you get into the Delta blues and that sort of thing?
Well, it's kind of, I grew up listening to that be played around me when I was young. My mom had a huge influence on me as far as music goes. And it took me a while to find myself musically. I went through all kinds of phases before I finally found what I really enjoyed to create. And it's kind of like my niche. I fell right into it.
I remember I met you a long time ago. It might have been as far as 10 years ago. Maybe not that long, but it feels like a long time. I met you at the A&M Theater. And one of the things that I respect about you is that you don't pigeonhole yourself into a specific genre. What's your solo set like in contrast to when you're with a full band?
Well, when I do my solo stuff, I kind of try to keep it real Bob Dylan-y, just one guy playing some songs. May not be the strongest singer, but I got some stories to tell. And then when we get with the band, sometimes I'll have my backup band with my solo stuff, Freaky Teeth, and it gets a little stronger, a little more blues influenced. And I have got Marcus Haynes and Joe Pender play behind me as Freaky Teeth, and that's a lot of fun. And then even after that, I've got the band Elderflowers, which is a complete different kind of tone. And it's real kind of heavier, psychedelic surf, kind of rock and roll stuff, all original. It's all instrumental, so I don't have to sing, thank goodness. But it's a lot of fun.
I love instrumental music. I think it's something that there definitely should be more emphasis on. One of my most favorite instrumental bands is Bela Fleck of the Flecktones. That'll always be high up there. And Humphreys McGee, a lot of their music is also instrumental too. Tell us a little bit more about Elderflowers. How'd that band get together, and what have y'all got on the horizon?
Well, Elderflowers started out, it's kind of funny, one of my best friends, Jake, is the drummer, and we've been friends since we were 15, and we started playing, metal when we were in high school together, and it was a lot of fun. Our first bands and stuff all came together, and then over the years, we just continued playing off and on, and it got to the point where we just started playing. We would get together and just jam for a couple hours at a time. And it was a lot of fun. And we're like, maybe we could bring some other folks in with us. And, we went through some people, and then Jeff Logsden came in and started playing bass, and we really kind of clicked together as far as what we were doing and what we were aiming for, what Jake and I were kind of hoping for. And then so we're like, wow, some of this is really good. We should start making some songs. So it's kind of cool because we started breaking off these pieces of songs and making them into something more. But we still leave areas for us all to kind of incorporate some jams and have some room to play around. And it's a lot of fun. Out of everything I've ever done, I mean, Flowvers is probably one of my favorites, my favorite projects.
Absolutely. And y'all play regularly at your event, Psych Night. What's the latest with that? I've been following y'all on social media, and it looks for quite some time you've been looking for a new home.
Yep. And I think we've finally gotten a permanent place. Looking on the horizon, it's going to be over at the Mosey's downtown on Grace. And I think our next event's coming up, and I believe it's the 20th of this month. But at Mosey's, it's going to be like his soft opening. There's details that are still going to be released coming here soon. But Psych Night is something I've been aspiring to push and make into something. And it started with Flowvers not really being able to fit in certain places, as a band. We could play with the metal bands, and it was like, it was all right. It was give or take. You either won the crowd over, or everybody was confused and would leave, or, you'd play at the bars and it's the same thing, because they all wanted to hear most of the regular cover songs. And here we are just playing this surfy jam psychedelic stuff, which sometimes will go really well, sometimes not. So I was looking at like what they're doing over in Austin with this event called Levitation, and out in California and New York, some of the bigger cities, bigger areas had these events, like these psychedelic rock events with all psychedelic and surf rock, just something that was more in the genre of what we were pushing. So I was starting to look around, and all around us, Pensacola, Tallahassee, Dothan, Birmingham, there's like these little like clusters of maybe 1, 2, 3 bands. They're having the same issues, the same problems. They don't really have anywhere to go except for their like little hometown base. And I was like, well, let's get them here. Let's get them here, and let's get them to, come. We'll pay the band for travel or whatever, or if they're local, even better, we'll pay them for their performance, and we'll make a thing out of it. So we invited vendors and artists to come set up. And I like to make it something so it's like something you can do for the evening. You can come, you can have food available, you can have artists and vendors, you support the establishment, you support the vendors, and then it's a donation base. So you like what you see, you like what you hear, throw some dollars into the donation jar. And so far, it's almost breaking even every show, if not breaking even. And that's great because I can pay everybody. And I mean, that's all I'm asking for. I'm not trying to charge $10 a head to everybody that wants to come see it. I'd rather that money go to the artists and the place that we're playing.
Absolutely. And I loved the event. I accidentally ended up at a Psych Night when I was at Taproom several months ago. And that's where I met Jennifer Creamer, who was a recent guest on the San Andreas Jezebel podcast.
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
She is great. She was a great guest, great person to meet that night. I'm grateful for that. And I wish you all the best in the new location. So what would you say is the greatest challenge in planning these events?
We had a little group that kind of got together to plan it out and make it happen. And then eventually everybody kind of had their own things to do. Mm-hmm. And so now it's basically just me putting it on my own. So right now it's just trying to get everybody together. The artists and the vendors have worked with me very well. So I expected that to be a little more difficult, but so far it's kind of been its own thing. It's I put it out there. Hey, this is going to be where it is. Come on. And at first I tried to keep like tallies of everybody. And then now it's just, it just kind of does it itself almost, which is really nice, because it doesn't fall all on my shoulders. But the biggest challenge, I guess, is, it's been overcoming my own thoughts of it not working, to be honest, because at first I was like, people were like, that'll never work here. This town doesn't have that kind of scene here, blah, blah, blah. But I've come to find out that the scene has been there the whole time. It's just kind of laying in the background, looking for somewhere to go. And now that we're here and we're doing it, I'm still trying to get over it in my own head that it's kind of doing it. But it's, that was the main obstacle, was just getting over my own doubts about it.
Absolutely. It reminds me of a Jim Lauderdale song called Don't Let Yourself Get in the Way, because that's absolutely true. We can be our own worst enemies when it comes to starting something. And good for you that this has been such a grassroots movement and that you've grown a community and you do have the community support. And from, just the one time that I was able to go and for what I've seen in photos, it looks like a very well-attended event. So good for y'all.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about creativity for a moment. What's something that you think is often misunderstood about creative people?
Being creative in itself is it's just something that happens. It can't be forced. I can't sit down and force myself to write a song. It has to come to me. In other words, I just don't feel genuine about it. I think something that's misinterpreted would be the fact that, oh, you're a musician or you're an artist. Oh, you get to write songs all the time. It's like, well, some of us get to sit around and write songs, but some of us have jobs, and goodness, if I could sit around and just think about songs and write them all day, oh, I would love it. We're misunderstood as a group wholly, I suppose, at first. We're just normal people, and we're trying to get a message that's in our head out there. And man, if I didn't have music, I don't know what I'd have, like just a job working 7 days a week. And my kid, I love my kid, but goodness, like music grounds me and gives me something to vent and a way to express all this that's inside of me going on that I don't have any way to do, otherwise.
I feel like it's an irreplaceable outlet for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think it's going to take to continue to grow the alternative music scene here? When I say alternative, I don't mean 90s alternative. I mean anything that's not your standard covers that you genuinely hear out in the venues. What do you think it's going to take to keep that strong and growing?
Well, that's something I think about a lot because I kind of find myself in a rut with like what I play, even with my solo stuff. It's like I'm playing a bunch of songs that 3/4 of the crowd probably hasn't heard or doesn't know. And something I've been trying to take advice from you on when we had a discussion a few months back was tell them a little story, about the song. And that's helped a little bit. But at the same time, it's like I played out of town a couple of gigs, Blue Tavern in Tallahassee, one, for example, and we had standing room only and everybody listened. Everybody was listening. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, these people are paying attention to what I'm playing right now. And it was the most wonderful feeling. And I left revitalized and energized and ready to keep doing it. And then I came back and I played, no hard feelings to anybody out there, but I played a gig here and I was like, it was like crickets, sometimes. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So I think about that question a lot. And I think we need maybe venues that are more focused on the change instead of the same old thing. I've thought about the possibility of maybe in the future trying to start a small food and bar or something small, good food, good drinks, and only good like roots music, for just a small example. And maybe have some like alternative shows, concerts, but only that. Don't showcase the regular cover scenes, but everybody that's those singular ones that are out there, John Caesar, he's doing something a little different, just for a quick example, like you or Matt Law playing some old blues stuff, we'll bring in these people that are playing roots, playing like different stuff other than just the same old country covers and focus on that. And then maybe like one will spark two and then it'll grow. But, I think San Andreas has really opened the doors to that. It's been a lot more welcoming in the last couple years to a wider variety of music.
It certainly has. And I'm right there with you. I've been there where I've played at a venue out of town. And it's like you said, it's a listening room environment. It's like you're almost shocked, like, oh my gosh, they really are listening. And then, of course, no disrespect to any around here. I'm grateful for everything, but, it's just a different environment. And there are venues in other parts of Florida, like at St. Pete, they have the Ale and the Witch. They have just different places down there. Like you said, that's their model. They mainly have anything that's off the beaten path in comparison to, your general covers, which if that's what you do to make your living, more power to you.
Right.
Yeah.
I know we're growing up and living in a tourist town and a tourist attraction. Everybody here, they want to hear that, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then there's like those few that are trying to do something different, a little different. And, I would love to see the scene for that grow. And if there's anybody out there that likes the idea, I think we should sit down and talk, and maybe we can all get a group together and sit down and organize something to make it grow. I think that'd be great.
Heck yeah, there's strength in numbers. So while we're on the subject of St. Andrews, what do you love about St. Andrews?
Oh, man, I love St. Andrews. It's my favorite part of town, for sure. Especially with the beach growing the way it is, I don't even go out there anymore. So I just come out to St. Andrews for my evenings. I love the scenery, right on the bay, point of the bay, beautiful sunsets. And like we were saying a minute ago, it's widening as far as the music acceptance there. And that's beautiful to see. And I think if there's anything close to New Orleans in Panama City, that little strip there is the closest thing we got,
St. Andrews is a real gem. If you could play any music venue in the world, where would it be and why?
Well, I would like to just play on the streets of New Orleans. I think that every time I go there, I'm just blown away at what I see and what I hear. And I'm walking down the street and I hear just every corner, there's something being played that I want to sit and listen to for an hour, and there's so much of it. And sometimes I feel like I belong there, but, as far as living there, I don't know if I could do it, but every time I'm there, I'm like, there's something that just calls me about these artists that are playing out here on the streets there. It's like real organic. It feels real, It
is real. Absolutely. That's what I'm attracted to it for that same reason. Absolutely. And so what do you think is the most important thing you need to remind yourself when you're performing?
I always have to take a deep breath and reassure myself to slow down, first of all, because sometimes I get overwhelmed.
Me too.
Start going full speed ahead on the bunny, and it's like, man, we need to slow it down to the turtle. But you got this. And that's one of the biggest things, because self-doubt is a killer. And if you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not going to make it. And I have to remind myself that I've got it. Just take a deep breath and look people in the eyes, smile, and just do your thing. And you got it.
That's the way to go. Well, Corey, thank you so much for being here on the San Andreas Jezebel Podcast. Please tell us about everything you got coming up in the month of May, please.
I'll be playing Psych Night at Mosey's with Elderflower. Psych Night's going to be great. We've got this band called Cave Mundi from Pensacola, and they're great. It's real cool, psychedelic rock. Really excited to have them. And we've got this band that's going to be opening up. It's actually James Saint and the Old Coyotes.
Oh, cool.
James is great. He's always been a huge supporter, and I try to get him on as much as I can. And that's going to be on the 20th at Mosey's. And other than that, I'm pretty sure that's about it.
Well, that's fantastic. Keep doing what you do. I think it's awesome, especially your Psych Night event. I think that it's going to take folks like you to keep the scene growing and changing and getting stronger. And again, thank you so much for everything you do. And until next time, keep St. Andrews salty.
Thanks for having me, Ashley.
One of the best things about St. Andrews is that you can see live music every day. That's right. There is live music being played somewhere in St. Andrews 7 nights a week. Fortunately, my friend Ken Schaefer creates and publishes a weekly schedule for St. Andrews as well as most of Bay County. Ken's spreadsheet schedule is updated often when there's any changes. Ken also shares individual music events and is walking the walk and talking the talk when it comes to supporting live music. Not only does Ken supply the music schedules, but he attends several music performances a week and takes fantastic photos of the musicians. As a working musician myself, I feel blessed to have Ken and his wife Donna as treasured members of our local musical family. Make sure you like and follow Ken's page, Salty Sounds in St. Andrews, and Oh Boy Music on Facebook, so that you'll always know where all the live music will happen. Thank you so much, Ken, for everything you do. All right, on to some community events. There's always great things happen in St. Andrews, and I'm so excited to share them with you. The market at St. Andrews recently moved to its new home at Oaks by the Bay Park, just in time for Mother's Day. The market hours are 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. each Saturday, rain or shine. Y'all don't miss it. The Blessing of the Fleet is this weekend in historic St. Andrews, and this is presented by Destination Panama City and Tyndall Federal Credit Union. The 25th annual Blessing of the Fleet, Fish Fry, and Burning of the Socks will be held at the St. Andrews Marina on Saturday, May 14th, 2022. The Fish Fry will begin serving at 11 a.m., with the sock-burning event to follow. The processional of water vessels starts at noon, and the proceeds benefit Second Chance of Northwest Florida, a local nonprofit organization that provides services to brain injury survivors and their families in the community. If you missed episode 5, I recommend you give it a listen. I had a great conversation with their board chair, Andre Boyd, and during our talk, he gives more information about the event and Second Chance. So when you're working out next time or washing the dishes, I hope you give it a listen. National Museum Day is May 18th. This is a great day to go check out the Panama City Publishing Museum, located at 1134 Beck Avenue. Follow their page on Facebook to find out more details for Museum Day. Also, I highly recommend you take the historic walking tour with Ellen, and I believe the tours meet every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. at the Publishing Museum. Floriopolis presents a new Art in Public Spaces exhibit on Janie's Fence. All of the paintings are by local artists and inspired by song lyrics. I hope you'll be inspired to take a stroll down Beck Avenue, you'll enjoy the exhibit, as well as the local shops and restaurants, and keep San Andreas salty. If you're able to donate to Floriopolis' next exhibit, it's up in 2 months. The folks at Floriopolis would really appreciate it. Floriopolis is a nonprofit and run entirely by art and community-loving volunteers. For more information about daily events happening in San Andreas, please follow Keep San Andreas Salty on Facebook. That's all the community events I've got for this week. Tune in next week for more. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us and listening to Season 3, Episode 6 of the San Andreas Jezebel Podcast. I need to let you in on some news. Facebook is no longer a podcast platform. By June, I believe all the podcast features will be gone. Unfortunately, if you're subscribed to the podcast on Facebook, you will no longer be able to listen to the episodes there. But all episodes since the very beginning are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and pretty much all the other major platforms. So now is a good time to subscribe so that you'll always be up to date when I publish episodes on Thursdays. If you liked our theme song, it was written by me and recorded by Dave Schwartz on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. The rest was written by me and recorded in my music room, and this week's interview was recorded at the Bay County Public Library in their new digital media collab. I hope y'all check it out. Well, we'll see you next Thursday. Till next time, keep San Andreas salty.